everybody. Welcome to a Three Girls, One Deck, as usual. So we're here today just to do our normal thing. We kind of went back and forth a little bit on figuring out what we wanted to talk about today because, there's lots of different options, and we decided to just sort of go back to the well on an old favorite, which is decks that we want to reconnect with. So, and I thought that went really well with the Golden Girls thumbnail personally, because, these are decks that we want to thank them for being a friend, basically. So,
trying to remind us of how old we all are now. That's what that was about.
that too, decks that we maybe have been with for a long time and we've gotten very accustomed to and used to, and maybe we don't appreciate them as much as we should. I don't know, but it all seemed kind of on theme with the whole Golden Girls theme. So anyway, so welcome those who have joined us so far. And I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. So I think I'm going to be going first this time. And again, the theme today is decks we want to reconnect with. And so the first deck that I have for this list is the Art of Life Tarot. And it's a very specific reason why I intend to be reconnecting with this deck, which is that this is the deck that I keep on my desk at work. I keep this deck down in my home office, and it sits on my desk, and I usually draw a card from it every day. And for the past several years, I haven't had a 9-to-5 job, and I haven't been sitting at my desk every day. And so I haven't been drawing a card from this deck, and I just got a new job. So I just got offered a job last week. And it's a fully remote job. So I am going to be once again back at my desk, drawing my daily card from the Art of Life Tarot. So I've already got my reconnection plan in place for it. I think this deck is out of print, but it's a really cool deck. It's basically just individual works of art along with a quote. So each of the cards has a picture and a quote, and it makes it just a really good daily draw kind of deck. It's not a deck that I ever used to do readings or anything like that, but it's a perfect deck to just sort of pull out a card on a daily basis, take a little message, take a little lesson. The box has you can set it up so that there's a frame in the cover, and you can set it up like this and then slide the card in so that you can actually display that card on your desk for the day. And so it makes it a really perfect work deck, so this is the one that I'm going to be reconnecting with. Oh my gosh, I've got cards going everywhere, you guys. Stop. Okay. But yeah, so it's a really great deck. And I love using it every day for that work daily draw. And it's always given me just really good, solid messages. And so, yeah, I really enjoy this one.
So do you do 2 daily draws then when you use this one? You do one with whatever deck you're working with, and then you do this one specifically related to work?
It's specifically related to work. Yep, exactly. I just, when I get to my desk in the morning, I shuffle the deck, pull a card. It's just a super quick thing that I do every morning, and then just have a nice little message on my desk for the day, just something to think about while I'm working. So, because normally with my regular daily draws, I usually do those at night.
Oh, of course you do. Yeah.
Yeah, because I usually do the night before for the next day, just because for journaling about whatever happened that day and how it related to that daily draw that I'd done the night before, it always works best in the evening. Because I'm not a morning person, so unless I'm with this, I'm already sitting at my desk, I've already made it to work and I'm actually, sitting there. But
ready to go.
Yeah, actually sitting down and writing a journal entry in the morning is not something that I would be capable of doing. So yeah, so this is just fully a work thing. But I love it, and I'm super excited. It's just been gathering dust down in my office, and I have, and I just realized the other day, oh, I'm gonna be back at my home office desk every day now, working this new job, and I'm gonna have my Art of Life Tarot back. So I'm quite excited about it. So anyway, that is the Art of Life Tarot.
So then that's one where you actually shuffle it every day, as opposed to shuffling it and then just letting it sit and then have it calendar style, or you just
do
the next. Okay.
Yeah, I do shuffle it every day. Yep, okay. Absolutely. So I don't know. I suppose I wouldn't necessarily need to shuffle it every day, but
No, however works for you. I was just
yeah.
curious because I could see somebody just using it like a calendar
Right.
that you like rip off and
Yeah.
Or like doing it once a month, like shuffling it for the month and then
yeah,
just
Right.
picking whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I could see you using it that way too.
yeah.
That,
So
that
it's
makes
very
total
versatile that
sense.
way.
Yeah, no, that actually makes total sense. And but yeah, I like shuffling, so
Yeah,
I choose to do it every day.
we used to do it every morning.
Yeah, it's just never even occurred to me to do it any other way. But I suppose I could try that. That would actually, like, save me a couple seconds every morning. But
It
anyway,
might be interesting to do it for a month and
yeah,
see how it's different to if you
yeah,
shuffle every day, just as like a mini experiment to see
yeah.
if it feels different.
Mhm.
Yes. So this is an basically for the last, gosh, coming up on 3 years now, I haven't been working a regular 9 to 5. I've just been running my Etsy shop and, like, you know, not doing a normal 9 to 5 job. And I'm at the point now that I need to go back to working a regular 9 to 5, just from a financial standpoint. And so I was actually planning on going back last year, but then when I had surgery in the fall, it ended up like delaying everything. And so I didn't actually start looking again in earnest until the beginning of this year. And then with things the way they are, it's actually been quite difficult trying to go through the whole job hunting process for the first half of this year. But I did finally find something, and I'm super excited about it. Like, it's a very, very good fit. And so I'm very happy with the new job that I found. It's kind of exactly the sort of situation that I would have wanted for a new job. So I'm very pleased with it. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. Back to my old Art of Life tarot, and I'm excited. I love this deck. So
Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
So I think Julie's next.
Yes. Okay, let's start. I guess let's start with this one. So basically for these, I was looking back to my Hobonichi from last year to see, the decks that I had worked with versus the ones that had gone completely neglected. And this was definitely one of those. And that is the Star Tarot. This is the very first edition with the egregious large borders that I chopped off. And there is now a revised edition that's borderless, and also matte. But like, I just have really bonded with my copy, and so that's the one I've kept. It is still in order. For some reason I put it back in order.
I do that sometimes. I put my
Yeah.
decks back in order for no particular reason.
Yeah, just to do it. And it's that, if that tells you anything. I have not touched this in a hot minute, and yeah, I would like to. I am gonna try to make the concerted effort to pull this out at some point this year, probably some point soon, because this feels very kind of spring, summer, with just like the rainbow puke that's going on, all the vibrant colors, and yeah, and the guidebook is very thick and juicy, and I could probably use a reread of that as well, because it has been that long that I'm sure I wouldn't remember all of the symbology, and because there is a lot that goes on with this deck. So, but yeah, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Yes, but that's true. It is kind of like Sage when you put them back in order. And yeah, so and it's interesting. I'll find myself doing that to some decks, but not bother with others. I don't know.
It's just a feeling for me. I've always found like a deck will just get to the point where it's almost, I always kind of phrase it as like, it feels jumbled up in its energy. It feels, the deck feels discombobulated for some reason. And like putting it back in order just sort of like resets it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why it feels that way, but sometimes decks just feel that way. So
totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. And like, clearly, like, also visually, I went ahead and like edged it all the colors of the rainbow. So
why? Can we find the Nine of Swords so I can?
Yeah, I want to know what the hot debate was.
I want to understand what the hot debate about the Nine of Swords is.
Yeah,
I want to see if I can tell just by looking at the card.
Oh yeah, because hold on. This one?
Is there a mouse?
People
Where's
want
the
to
mouse?
know about the mouse.
What mouse?
What? I can't. Not with these eyes. Wait, what? Okay, I see a spider. I see a spider. I see a butterfly, which
Oh,
tracks.
wait. 10 of swords.
10 of swords. Oh, 10 of swords.
Oh,
10 of
oh,
swords.
oh, oh, 10 of
Oh,
swords.
okay.
What? Mouse. Sorry. This is 10 of swords. What mouse? What am I missing? Do you see it? I don't see it. Where is it? Can somebody give me a directional cue here?
Apparently that's the 10 of wands.
Wands.
No, this is oh no, this is 10 of oh, do I have them mixed? Maybe I didn't put them back in order. Oh, I might have them mixed. You're right.
Oh, okay.
That's 10 of hold on. I mixed them up. Thought I had these back in order. Hold on. Apparently not. Okay. 10 of
Yeah, you haven't used this in a while.
yeah, see?
Yeah.
No, I think this is the 10 of swords because this is the 10 of wands.
Well,
All right. Well, to be determined, I guess.
yeah. Confusion. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway.
It's okay, Marlena. We'll figure it out eventually.
What have you done? You've derailed us for the rest of the
now. Okay. Well, anyway, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Now
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta find it.
Yeah, now you're gonna like go through the whole deck looking for a mouse and be like, okay, what card was this about?
Okay, well, anyway, so yeah, so
there's a card with a woman in a cell and a mouse.
Okay.
A card with a woman in a cell and a mouse. A woman in a cell.
Oh, Marlena, we love a good derail here.
Yeah, I know.
You've been around long enough to see us derail ourselves.
Exactly. If it wasn't you derailing, we'd be derailing. It's all good. So,
woman in a cell.
Yeah. Trains of thought never make it to the destination around
No.
here.
Unless somebody reminds you at some point.
Yeah.
Cell. Woman in a cell. Okay, well, I will. Woman in a cell. It's not the 3 of swords, is it? Because this is. I don't see a mouse in this one either. Okay, well, I don't know. I'll have to keep looking for y'all.
Yes, you do.
Well, Heather's talking. You can keep looking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the debate was over the mouse being helpful versus somebody calling it vermin.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay. That is an interesting question. So, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Hi, Nicole.
And I wonder.
No, Beth, I haven't. In fact, I haven't even heard of Strange Companions.
And I wonder if.
After.
I wonder if the guidebook would have something to say about the mouse. In any case, I will be on the lookout for the mouse now.
Yeah.
I'm on a mission, and that's even more impetus for me to work with this deck because
now you got a puzzle to solve.
Now I have a puzzle. Anyway, it's beautiful and a lot there, obviously, that I clearly haven't picked up even for the first time. So the mouse is teeny good luck. Okay.
Julie, do you need reading glasses?
I have glasses. I have glasses, but they actually don't work for reading. I'm gonna have to
need reading glasses.
And you've got the wrong prescription then, and you need reading glasses.
Maybe. Usually, up till this point, my prescription glasses have worked for reading, and that's essentially what I use them predominantly for. But now it's one of these things where it's just kind of like, wait, like I can't, like I have to like actually. It seems sharper for me to not have them on, which I feel like there's something wrong with my prescription. Anyway, that's another story. For my next appointment. So anyway.
Hi, Feeding My Soul 1212. Angel, right?
Hello, Angel.
Yeah, Angel. Welcome. Glad you're here. So Julie was just talking about the Star Tarot, and we've been trying to find the mouse. We can't find the mouse, and we're trying to figure it out. But in the meantime,
that's all I'll have to say about that. And hopefully I will be able to find the mouse.
Yeah.
Now I'm on a mission. Now I'm on the hunt.
All right. We'll put Heather in the middle, and Julie can continue her search for the mouse.
Okay, so all of mine are, I spent some time this morning in front of my bookcase where all my tarot decks live, and picked out some decks that I have not touched in a really long time and that I don't want to get rid of, but I'm just not picking up. So one of them, like, talking of Sarah's Etsy store, can we just clock the bag for a second?
Yeah.
Also, there's a hint in the bag, just saying. But it is my Baba Studio Alice tarot. So I actually have now 3 Alice tarots, and I have just backed a 4th one. So I do have a secret, very secret, nobody knows about it, I keep it very quiet, thing for Alice in Wonderland.
You only have a gigantic Alice tattoo like on your forearm, so it's very, very on the DL.
But I never ever reach for this deck for some, and I do like it. It's not, and I think the problem is it's not my favorite Alice tarot. I actually think the Llewellyn mass market one is better, but it's one of those ones that I never want to get rid of because it's out of print. I don't think it'll ever come back in print at this point, but who knows with Baba Studio, because you never know what they're doing from one minute to the next.
I've been getting out of the tarot business for like 5 years now.
5 years now, and I keep reprinting decks for the last time ever. So who knows? But it bugs me a little bit that I don't use it. And so it's one of those ones that I really, really want to try and fall in love with as much as I love the story. And so I need to dig it out and find things to do with it that make it fun and interesting, and maybe some journaling with it and that kind of stuff, and try and like really connect with it, and maybe do some stuff along with the story. I don't know what that looks like. I haven't given it that much thought yet, but I love these hedgehogs.
That one is a beautiful, I don't know, of all of the Alice decks out there, the ones that don't use the actual Tenniel illustrations, that one I think is the coolest in terms of illustration style. Like, something about it just really feels, and I think it's something about how like some of the images come out of the frame a little bit, and it just has I don't know, I really like that one. So
yeah, I do too. And I think that's it's deliberately made to look like a storybook in the way that they have stuff like stepping out of the borders and things. I love this dormouse too. I'm obsessed with the dormouse. But so yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it than that. I love the caterpillar. So the caterpillar in my head always sounds like Alan Rickman now. Like, that is just in my head and is never leaving. I don't even particularly like that film, but yeah. Julie, sorry, you're going to say something then, I think.
So you backed a new Alice deck?
I did. So it is it, oh god, Rue and Vervain. Do you know Rue and Vervain? They did the Pooh deck, I think, and they did they're doing like a Shadowlands of Wonderland or something like that.
It's very kind of goth themed, It's a darker aesthetic, and it's definitely more like, feels very gothy. It's got a goth tint. Yeah. I was tempted.
You sent it to me.
Yeah.
So it's all Julie's fault. Julie sent it to me, and like 10 minutes later I replied and said, yep, thanks, backed it.
You totally did. So, I was like, my job is done. And
I was like, done with my day now.
Yep. No, I was totally tempted to get it myself, but I want to see like walkthroughs. Like, I want to see it when it's actually like all done and dusted, printed, all that in people's hands, and so before I decide. So
do you know what the deck was called? Because I don't know what deck was on her channel.
Is it Alice in Shadowland or
the one that?
Oh wait, which one
showed on her channel?
The one that Kasia had on her channel?
Kasia, no.
I have not seen it, so I don't know which one it was. I like the Dame Darcy one as well. I do actually like the Dame Darcy one. I have that one also, courtesy of Julie. She sent it to me. But Julie is keeping me in Alice.
Pretty much.
It's good for me. But I have to say that my favorite right now of the ones that I own is the Llewellyn one that was done by
it's Barbara Moore, isn't it?
Yeah, Barbara Moore. Yeah.
Eugene somebody as the illustrator, I think. Eugene.
Who was the illustrator? Yes, I think. Yeah. Eugene something. He's done a lot, right? He's done quite a few for Llewellyn.
He's done a few. He has a very distinct style to him. Why do you feel like you lean toward the Llewellyn?
I think it makes more sense to me in terms of a good combination of the story and tarot and the images that they've chosen to use for each card.
Got it.
This one, sometimes I'm a bit like, okay, I don't know if I would have necessarily picked that image, but sure. And the Dame Darcy one is just a bit weird, but not in a bad way, in a good way, because Alice is weird, but it's probably the most weird of the three.
That makes sense. Got it.
How do you feel? How do you feel about the Inside Editions Disney one, Heather?
Do you know? I don't know if I've even seen it.
It's Disney. It looks Disney. I believe it's a pip deck, right? I
mean, it just looked like the Disney film with the
it looks like the
dress and all of that. Kind of stuff. I mean, I do love the Disney film. That's one of the reasons why I'm so obsessed with Alice, is because I watched that film so many times as a kid with my parents and stuff. But there's a whole thing about Tablet, which is a Scottish thing like fudge that my mum used to make, and there's like all kinds of nostalgia and memories for me in Alice, which is why I love it so much. But I do like the Disney one, and I like the illustrations from the Disney film as well.
I do too as well. That's why like that deck was a temptation merely for like a collection's sake, not necessarily would have used it, and not necessarily. I don't remember if I think the pip stayed pretty consistently pip. And it wasn't like a Nightmare Before Christmas situation where they couldn't decide and couldn't.
Where they got some of the illustrations done and then gave up and made the rest pips. We're running up against our deadline, guys.
So I agree. That was a good Disney film. I watched it. I ran that VHS out. I totally did. So that the deck was definitely a temptation.
And Marlena, Robin Hood, we also used to watch that a lot when I was a kid, the Disney Robin Hood. In fact, we had that on VHS and watched it so much the tape snapped. So that was always a favorite of mine too. I don't know that deck. I'm gonna have to go away and look it up.
I know.
That one's new to me too.
I mean, I'm just gonna be buried in Alice decks if I'm not careful. So
why not?
Yeah, why not?
I love Alice. Honestly.
You never have too much Alice, can you?
Yeah. See, the funny thing for me, I love Alice. I've seen the film a million times. I've read Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass both a million times. I first read them when I was a really young kid, and I love them. But Wonderland creeps me out too much for it to be a tarot deck. Like I find Wonderland like quite frightening, actually. Like I always did as a kid, like the just sort of like illogical chaos of it, and especially at the end of Through the Looking Glass when they are at that feast and then the guests all start laying down in the plates and platters and stuff like that. Like it's scary. It's actually very scary.
It is a little scary.
Yeah, it's like disturbing. So I've always been like too disturbed by Wonderland to want it in the form of a tarot deck. Like it's not a world that I want to go like live in, basically. So, and despite the fact that I love the books and I love the story and I love everything about it, but it's just a little bit unnerving to me. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
All right.
Awesome. So we're back to Sarah.
Back to me. Okay. So this deck is a deck that I absolutely love, and it's just one that I haven't used in quite a while. And I was just looking at my shelves, and this one jumped out at me, which is the Playful Heart Tarot by Kitten Chops. And I love this deck, and somehow coming up on summer just feels like a time for it. And also I've been having a lot of nostalgia around tarot recently, and my third deck is also kind of on that theme a little bit of like tarot nostalgia, but this is like the most inner child deck that I own. I love this Page of Cups because of like the Beatles like and boy band references to this. Like it's so cute and delightful. But this one, of all the decks I own, this one and the Crystal Unicorn are like the two most just tapping into the inner child kind of decks for me. And this is such a smart deck. It's so well done in its illustrations. Like there are tons of little the illustrations are fun and colorful and cute, but then there's tons of little details and interesting little things to pick out that, give you different insights on the cards. And like everything about it is just really wonderful. And it's just been way too long since I've used it. So this is definitely one that I really, really am looking forward to using sometime this summer because yeah, it's been far too long. I love this deck so much. So, and that, I mean, I don't have a lot more to say about it other than that. This is just such a, do either of you guys have this deck?
No, I do like it though. I love the way it looks.
Yeah. It is honestly just delightful. And it really is. It is one of those decks where if you go through it and like, on first glance, everything does seem very simple and colorful and childlike. And then the more you go through it and look at the illustrations, the more little details you see that are so pithy and interesting. And, like this Eight of Cups, I love that there's life giving you lemons, like up at the top of the card. There's two little birds squeezing lemons into one of the cups. It just like there's so much to this deck, I feel like, that is just really, really intelligent and really evocative. So so that is the Playful Heart Tarot by Kitten Shops. Very beloved deck for me. So
it does look like it was drawn by a child.
Yeah.
Which I like.
It does. And yet
it's obviously been drawn by somebody who's very talented and has deliberately drawn it to look like a child's drawings.
Exactly.
But it does have that air of being drawn by a child.
Yeah.
If a child was going to illustrate a horse, how would a child draw a horse?
Exactly. 100%. And like, but the thing is that because, Zara is incredibly good at drawing. Oh, I'm freaking blurry whatever. But because Zara is so good at drawing that way, but also is incredibly knowledgeable about the tarot, like this one, for example, I love this. I love on a number of levels. I love this 10 of Swords because for starters, it looks like a deflated balloon, which is hilarious. I love the fact that the eyes are kind of pixelated because it gives you this sort of like Pac-Man, like video game quality of like, what happens to you when you die in a video game, like you respawn and you start over again, there's so many just like little details in this deck that when you start looking at it very carefully and thinking about what all of those details mean, like you get so much out of it. Like it really is an incredibly evocative deck that way. So I love this one. It's really good.
Have you used the little guidebook with it at all?
No, not really. I have it somewhere. But like I've never felt, I don't know, the deck itself just reads like a dream. Like it's sort of like it reminds me a lot, not in art style, but in terms of how much I get out of it. It's kind of like the Tarot of Mystical Moments where it feels like every detail is saying something and it's all done so intentionally that there's so much meaning that comes out of those cards. And like so yeah, I don't think I've ever even bothered to look past like the first page of the little guidebook. So
just curious what her write-ups would be like.
Yeah. So anyway, it's wonderful.
Sweet.
So Julie's turn.
Well, speaking of, my next selection is, in fact, Tarot Mystical Moments.
We didn't plan that.
That was the most fluid transition ever. Yeah, this was another that kind of went neglected. I think I might have used it very briefly once last year, but I wouldn't have remembered that I had I not looked through my Hobonichi, So, and I did modify this because there was a silver edging, and it really cut my, it's like a large deck. And so I just cut the sliver off to see if it would be better to handle. And have you gotten the mini yet, either of you?
Yes. And I'm so disappointed with it.
Yeah, okay. That's
so
what
disappointed. Yeah.
Okay.
I when I received it, because I pre-ordered it and I was so excited, I 100% assumed it was going to be a normal US Games tarot in a tin.
Yeah.
And
it's like this small, right?
It's like this big. It comes in a tough box. It's impossible to shuffle because it's so small.
So small,
like, it's so, I was so irritated when I got it. That's why I don't pre-order things. Pre-order things. So stupid. What was I thinking? Like, anyway, so yeah.
Okay, all good. No, I am there with you. I think
I don't have this deck at all, actually, because I held off
to
get
this one, right?
Or maybe I'll get the mini in as well instead then, but I think maybe I'll scrap that idea then.
Yeah. When I started looking at walkthroughs and seeing actual pictures from people who had it, I was like, oh, this is not what I thought they were going to do with that. Oh, I don't like that. Like, that's really small. That's so small. Anyway, yeah. So this is just one I want to use again. And because it is, like Sarah was saying, all the details do seem very deliberate. And it's just beautifully rendered. I mean, this is totally my cup of tea in terms of aesthetic. I've said before about this deck that it definitely gives me kind of High Priestess vibes, in that it's a deck that, like, it almost reminds me of like what was her name? Tara from Buffy. You know, like she's like knowledgeable and knowing, and like, and yet not a gatekeeping bitch about it, not pushy about it, not, it's like this deck leaves you to make that journey and to make those connections. And, there is some gentle nudging, and, there are cues there, but this is not that type of pushy. It can be direct. Don't get me wrong. It can be very direct, but never in that kind of way of like being just super in your face. And yeah, with this deck, it always gives this feeling like there's more to know. Are you ready to know? No? Are you at this point even ready to know? Is it helpful or useful? So yeah, I just really love this deck. It's so good. So good. So I need to definitely make some time for it this year.
So do you have the Dreamkeeper's Tarot?
I don't. And I think the reason is because it does remind me so much of this that I feel like I don't need competing decks. I feel like I've seen that one, and of the two, I do prefer the Mystical Moments.
Yeah.
So, but that tarot is also very lovely, very lovely. Yeah.
I agree with that, actually, because I actually backed the Dreamkeeper's Tarot when it was on Kickstarter before it went mass market, and so I did have it initially, and as between, and I eventually rehomed it, because as between that deck and the Tarot of Mystical Moments, I do significantly prefer the Tarot of Mystical Moments. They have very similar styles, but from a card meaning and readability standpoint, I think the Tarot of Mystical Moments is better. You showed the Knight of Swords, and I'm pretty sure that the Mystical Moments Knight of Swords is my favorite Knight of Swords of all time. Like, it's so good. It's so good. It's that woman, and her dress is made out of the Declaration on the Rights of Women by Mary Wollstonecraft, and it's like it's so good.
So good. Yeah.
Brilliant. So yeah.
It's just beautiful. It really is. Yeah. Anyway. So yes, I could. But yeah, I am bummed about the mini because this size. I'll bitch about it again. This size, man. It's so hard for me to handle. Yeah. It really is.
And it's gilded, but you can't trim the gilding off because
it's
border. Well, yeah, you have to lose a little bit of the artwork in order to do that.
Yeah, I think I really did. I mean, by trimming it, I legit just right up against it. So I don't feel like I lost too much, honestly. And so it did help with like the cutting, like the feeling of it, like cutting into, but from like a shuffleability, it's still pretty hard for me to get my hands around to even like overhand.
Yeah.
And so like I just was so hopeful that the pocket, what I thought would be more pocket. Oh yeah. Oh
Look
my
at how
God.
tiny this thing is.
Oh my
It's-
God.
God.
It's
Wow.
minuscule.
It's like a Lenormand though, right?
It's even smaller than that.
Smaller it looks.
Honestly, it's like a I don't even know. It's minuscule. I don't know what they were thinking. Like you can't.
I could use that for one of my dolls.
Yeah. Seriously, you want me to send it to you for one of your dolls? Because like I'm never gonna use it. Oh my God, I was so freaking mad.
Oh God, that's so disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm glad I held off then, because I was just like, oh,
just-
that's not what I was hoping for at all.
Thoroughly
Yeah, and that's the
disappointed.
point, isn't it, Nicole? It's all very nice, well and good being small, but it has to still be readable.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Well, and it would have been like US Games has all of these decks and tins that are incredibly popular,
Mhm.
perfect size. Like
Mhm.
that is 100% what I was assuming we were going to get.
Exactly.
And instead, we got postage stamps. Like
It's like they've
unshuffleable-
literally gone, what's the most extreme that we can go to
Yeah.
from how
Yeah.
we released the deck originally?
Oh my gosh.
it's freaking tiny.
Yeah.
The original deck is quite big, right?
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
Yeah.
so we've gone from
yeah.
literally one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
I was thinking like Morgan Greer in a tin, you know? I was thinking, you know what I mean? Halloween Tarot in a tin. Like
I have so many US Games decks and tins. I love them. They're the perfect size. And they come in a tin. And they're perfect. And instead we got fucking this.
Yeah.
So mad. Anyway, sorry.
It's okay. I'm with you.
I am still irritated by that because I was so excited about it.
So was I.
Ugh.
So was I. Very, very excited.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to have to keep on with this huge version, which is fine, but
Yeah. Thoroughly annoying. Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, well. It is what it is.
Yeah. No, actually, I have a niece and a nephew, but they're both too old, and this would be way too small for them too. So, yeah, it is comically small indeed. Yeah, it is ridiculous. So, anyway.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way.
All right. Heather's turn.
Oh, yeah, cool. Sorry, I totally forgot what we were doing for a minute. So my next one also comes in a lovely bag. Sticking out there. And this one is one that I love and again haven't reached for in a long time and I really want to use again. And that is the Tarot Renard.
Mm-hmm.
I love this deck. I don't like the cardstock so much of this deck, and that's why I don't reach for it, because the cardstock is really easily bendable. Like it has, you can't really see it, and I don't know if you can see it but it kind of dips in the middle, and it came like that, and it's impossible to get it out, and it just it's hard to shuffle, but it's so beautiful. Like it's so beautiful. And I am again, I love foxes. I have a very special affinity to foxes. I think literally the cardstock is the reason why I haven't touched this deck in such a long time. Then of course I don't have to shuffle the deck. There are other ways that I can draw cards and stuff, and that might be something again with this one I have to try finding a way around it, but I just want all of this art on my walls.
Yeah.
That's what I want to just turn it into like a mural on one wall. But, so I don't really have too much to say about this one other than the cardstock infuriates me. And so I don't use it enough. And it is a really summery deck. Like a lot of the cards have very summery vibes to them. So it does feel like the right time. We're coming into the right time of year to start using this deck. So I think I might pull it out in like July or August and just try working with it and try some different ways of pulling cards and stuff. But it's one of those ones where I love it so much that I never want to get rid of it. Like it's not a deck that I'm like, I'm never going to use it, I want to pass it on. It's like a deck I love it and I never use it, and that bothers me. So I love this card. I think this death card is amazing.
It is. It's such a beautiful deck, that deck. I love her artwork. It's I rehomed that deck. It was actually very hard to shuffle. I have her Boo Tarot now, the ghosty one, which is so cute. And it's actually on different cardstock that is much easier to shuffle, weirdly enough. But yeah, the Fox one is just so gorgeous. So gorgeous.
Yeah.
I just don't know why she picked this particular cardstock. And it's more, it feels more like, because of the cardstock, not because of the pictures, because it does work as a tarot deck, but it feels more like 78 I've bought 78 individual pieces of art than a tarot deck, because in terms of functionality, it's not very useful. But it does, like, I think the imagery for each card actually works really well, and tarot wise it reads very well. It's just so fucking hard to use.
Yeah, that's what stopped me from buying her decks, because of the reputation of the cardstock being difficult, because her artwork is so beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I will say the Boo Tarot, the copy that I have is on different cardstock than what the Tarot Reynard was on. It is significant. Can somebody block this person? The cardstock is significantly different. It's much more bendable, and it's much easier to shuffle. It's the kind of cardstock that doesn't like snap back very well. Like it stays kind of bowed once you shuffled with it. Thank you for whoever banned that person. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey ladies, what's up? But so it is different, and that deck is lovely too. So just if anybody is considering that one and thinks it might be the same cardstock as the Tarot Reynard, it's not. It's actually different. So
cool. So yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it than that.
All right. Well, I will put myself in the middle then. And so this is another like nostalgia tarot thing, because this is a deck that I've had for such a long time, I think this is one of the first decks I bought outside of my like initial learning decks that I bought, and that is the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. This is Cat Black's other deck, that is not the Touchstone Tarot. And I do love this deck. So like the Touchstone Tarot is mostly Baroque and Renaissance artwork, and this deck is medieval artwork. And there's a couple reasons why I've been feeling nostalgic for this deck. I mean, for starters, it came out in a linen cardstock version, which I bought a little while back, because like I feel like linen is a really right choice for these particular cards. And then I didn't use it for a while because the gilding was so sharp, but I finally modified it and took the gilding off. And so now it's lovely. So I've trimmed this one, and it's super nice to shuffle now. So I'm super happy with it. But this, I don't know, like I've been having some sort of like on and off tarot slumps recently, and feeling a little bit like disconnected from tarot a little bit. And so this deck has sort of felt to me like it kind of connects me back to that time, like much earlier in my tarot reading journey and tarot reading life, when new decks were still so much of like a discovery to me, and like the idea that decks had this kind of artwork was so mind-blowing to me. And so I think that's part of the reason why this one is really appealing to me lately. And then there's also the fact that, not to get too into it, but weirdly enough, and I think just because it has to do, like, this is a lot of medieval artwork, and there's a lot of like hierarchy and misfortune and deprivation depicted in medieval artwork. And because of that, this deck has always felt kind of political to me, like in an odd way. It kind of feels like this is one of my decks that does the most like speaking to the world at large, and like speaking to what's going on in the world at large. And like, again, not to get too much into it, but this is kind of a time in history when that feels like a thing that I need. So like this is I don't know, something about this deck is just really appealing to me right now. So I'm very happy. I really enjoyed the process of trimming it and spending that time with it. And like, I'm just ready to be really good friends with this deck again. So, so yeah, that's the Golden Tarot. I love this deck. It's really beautiful. But and the new linen edition is super nice. It's like not glossy at all. And it's, yeah, just really nice looking. So,
Okay.
So is that US Games as well?
This is US Games, yeah. And for when this deck first came out, there was like a matte edition. It first came out in a matte cardstock, and then several years later, it came out in a glossy cardstock, and it was glossy for like a decade. And then they finally brought it out in a linen finish cardstock. And of course, when they did that, I was like, oh, time to get my third version of it, I guess. So I did, and just because I love linen cardstock, and I trimmed it, and so now it just, I don't know, I really like this version of it. It feels really nice in the hands, and so I'm very excited to work with it. So
you trimmed it just to get the gilding off, or was it like more fat borders like the touchstone?
Mostly just to get the gilding off. Like I trimmed, I don't know, maybe a couple millimeters off each side. There's still a border. I don't mind the borders on this deck at all. Like I could have made a borderless because the backs are, it wouldn't matter. But I like the little bit of border that I left on it. I think it turned out really nice. And so I'm really happy with it. And it's a normal tarot size, so it's not too big or anything that I needed to take off more. So anyway, so that is the Golden Tarot.
Cool.
And
Julie, it's Julie now, right?
It's Julie, yeah.
All right. Well, my last one, I mean, it's no stranger to this channel. And I didn't really work with it last year, like maybe like once for a reading or something, or like, again, very briefly, but I did bring it back out for, was it Angels VR, the Show Me Your Decks? And so I was like, oh my gosh, I've missed you. I need to work with you again. And that's Raven's Prophecy Tarot. FYI, I have modified, I've trimmed this deck, so, and edged it. But yeah, and oh yeah, and this was the card that I spoke of in that VR, and I was just like, oh gosh, I really need to get back to working with this one because it's just so good. It's so good, and of course, part of that for me, I mean, I do of course think that the imagery is beautiful, and then also there's that just added connection and I don't know, just the special associations I have in reading the young adult novel series, the Raven Cycle series, that this is inspired by. You don't have to have read you don't how do I say this? Am I saying that right? You don't have to have read the series in order
yeah, no, you're saying it right.
It's been a week. So yeah, but and the three of us have done actually a video series that does make a connection if you want to take it to that level, which, again, like, not to brag, but we did a pretty damn good job with that series. So check it out if you're
yeah, we did.
If you're so interested. My only recommendation would be, if you want to read the books and you don't want spoilers, read the books.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's inevitable. Spoiler alert, there are spoilers in that for sure. There but yeah, so it's just, this is, I don't know, it's so poignant, and especially for when I'm doing, I want to be creating and I want to be inspired. This is definitely a great deck for that. And given that 2025 has been a pretty rough year, I feel like I could use a dose of a pick-me-up inspiration, creative spark. So yeah, I definitely want to get this out again at some point. Like, I know because of the colors and such, it does feel like it would be maybe more autumnal or more for the colder months, but I have used this all year round. So I feel like I don't need to wait. I shouldn't wait. I should just use it when I want. Yeah.
I didn't realize this deck was going out of print.
I didn't either. Apparently the Raven's Prophecy is going out of print soon. So
I feel like they're saying every freaking deck is going out of print soon. I just feel like every time I hear like, oh, this deck is going out of print now. Oh, this deck is going out of print now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, it with some of the mass market decks, you sort of wonder like, you know, maybe how well they sold, or because there
Yeah.
have been so many new decks that have come out.
Yeah, and you think if
Um,
people are continually buying new ones,
right,
then it would make sense that the older ones they just stop printing them after a
right,
Yeah,
while.
I guess
right.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tarot Vampire style. Although I heard that Tarot Vampire was not necessarily going out of stock like completely, and I think it was like going out of stock in terms of that particular printing and edition, like the way it's rendered there, but there might
Mhm,
be like a revamp of it in some
mhm,
sense. And then same with Tricoli, like everyone was saying, oh, it's going out of stock, it's going out of stock. But then someone informed me, actually, it's not, it's just like the formatting of it. So maybe
mm.
that's what they mean. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not knowledgeable enough to make any guesses there, but
yeah, that does make me wonder though, because sometimes, like, if there's a deck where there's some complaints about the formatting of it, which is true with the Raven's Prophecy. Lots of people did not like the orange borders and trimmed the orange borders off, and like,
yeah.
and the borders were annoying because, you know, you couldn't trim them well and have the back still look good, and like, so maybe if they came out with a borderless Raven's Prophecy, like, that would be phenomenal. That deck would be beautiful borderless. There's no reason not to.
There's
So,
exactly
like, you know,
no
so who
reason.
knows? Like, why would you pick orange? I don't know. Like,
I actually quite like it. I have to.
Well, we talked about
We
that
had
in
a conversation
history.
this though about we had a conversation about this in our
Yeah, we
live
did.
orange,
We
didn't
did.
we? I should
Yeah,
pick orange. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so there's anyway, so that
Mhm.
made
I
me
remember
that
this say
actually
anything about now.
it makes me now I am less I find it less abhorrent, the orange,
Mhm.
after having that,
Mhm.
they're pointing out that particular association for
Mhm.
it. I'm just like, I like that, and I
Mhm.
still went ahead. I mean, I had already chopped mine off at that
Mhm.
point.
Mm. Did you buy another one? Didn't you buy another copy to keep the
I
borders
did,
on?
yeah,
Mhm.
because mine at first it was like I chopped like everything off, including the title. Like I basically effed it up. And so I ended up having to chop everything off, including the titles. And the backs just really bugged me. But I
Mm.
used it for a time as a mini. But then I thought, oh, but maybe I can try to do it in such a way that I have the titles and still
Mhm.
keep the backs. So
Mhm.
yeah, so I did manage. I mean, and
Mhm.
I like how it turned out. So yeah, I just I think what I ended up doing was I ended up trimming by using the back as
Mhm.
page, not the front.
Yeah.
Right. And then you colored in the extra orange with
Mhm.
black Sharpie, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Posca marker. So it's like
Oh, okay.
it's like a water based. So you could even rub it off if you wanted. And it is
Mhm.
starting to kind of chip off in places, which makes it look a bit distressed. And actually I kind of like it.
Mhm.
Right, so it's
Mm.
actually wearing nicely.
Mhm.
So I really, but like, look at how great it looks borderless, people. Like,
Right.
why wouldn't you?
Right. That's my thing, is like, it's not that the orange itself is so offensive, it's that the artwork of that deck, because of how it's so many like objects just like floating in black, it lends itself so well to being borderless. Like, it looks really beautiful borderless. And so it just, yeah, so it just, I don't know. It would have been so easy to make it borderless. Like,
Right,
yeah,
right.
Mm.
because the bleed issue, there wouldn't have been
There
bleed
was-
issues with most of the artwork, you know, like, anyway.
and why not center the back? Why,
Right.
the back design?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, where they've put the bit on the back is a bit like that's weird. I mean,
Yeah.
it also means that if you are somebody who reads reversals, which none of us are,
Right.
but if
It's
you
true.
are someone who reads reversals, it's really obvious when
That's,
from the backs which cards are reversed and which cards are.
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Uh,
I love her regardless. And
Mhm.
I hope she's not forever out of print. I hope it's
Mhm.
just more of like this version as it is, this edition is out of print.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I agree with that actually, Meg. I think that each deck, whether or not it has a border, should be about the deck and the
Yeah, I
artwork.
agree.
What is consistent with the theme of the deck,
Right.
and not what do people just say they like the loudest right now.
Yeah.
It's a design decision. Like,
Yeah,
it is a design decision that should be done by a designer who has some insight into what's going to work with particular artwork and what will not work as well with particular artwork. So, yeah.
Yeah. for sure. Because sometimes I really think the borders are helpful and really add to the imagery and help to rein it in even. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's what we were saying about the Alice one. Like, it gives it that like storybook feel.
exactly.
Have those borders and have like certain characters stepping out of the borders and stuff. But that's not going to work for every deck.
Exactly. Yeah, the Gaian tarot is kind of like that too, where there's borders, but then the artwork kind of comes out of the actual artwork into the border a little bit, like bits and pieces of it kind of, and it gives it just a really dimensional quality, you know. It's like, I don't know, it just is a really cool feel to it. So yeah. All right, Heather's turn.
Cool. Over the course of this hour, I've ended up sitting in the dark. I'm not quite sure. But hopefully you can all still see me probably and see my cards probably. And I'm nearly done. So for my last one, I have picked a deck that I haven't picked up in ages. And there's something about this deck that really calls to me right now because of the state of the world. And it just feels appropriate. And so that is the Next World Tarot, which just has that, you know, like there's that, do I want to lean into the whole dystopian nightmare, or do I want to avoid it completely? And I feel like I kind of want to lean in a little bit. And this deck, I don't know how well you can see this now because it's a bit dark, but this deck, I mean, absolutely does that. It's how it's designed. You know, it is a post-apocalyptic. I'm not saying we're living in a post-apocalypse. I'm not quite that. I don't think we're quite that far, but you know, I do think that it's like it's taking it to that whole other level kind of thing, but has very real world feels to it right now. This deck is massive.
And the mini version is too small. Again,
and the mini version is too small because it's one of those ones that has so much art and so much going on in the cards that if you make it too small, you can't see everything properly. But if you make it too big, you can't shuffle it properly because you can't hold it. It's a conundrum. But yeah, I really just feel like right now this is where I want to be and the type of imagery I want to be working with and the type of messages I want to be getting. And I have not picked this deck up for such a long time, but I think I'm definitely going to be working with it over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Maybe. So yeah, again.
I'm sorry.
No, go on.
Oh, the thing that I love about that deck is that like it depicts the sort of like post-apocalyptic world, but in a way where there's so much life and community and joy and struggle and all of it. You know, it doesn't feel like a dystopia, really. It just feels like sort of in a way where we're inevitably going, but like how we can deal with that and like live with that and how cope with it, and still have joy and life and community in those circumstances. So yeah, hope punk. Yes,
hope punk. I love that. A hope punk deck.
Yeah, totally.
And it is, you know, it does ask that, you know, question if things massively changed, you know, maybe technology wasn't quite so prevalent as it is now and those kind of things, would that be the worst thing to happen to the world? And you know, what would that be necessarily all negative, or is there hope there, and is there community there, and is there you know, rebuilding of people being in space with other people and stuff? So yeah, I love this deck. I wish it was smaller, but I love this deck quite a lot.
Yeah. I've had that deck both in the large size, which I rehomed, and then in the small size, which I rehomed, and I just want a regular size.
Yeah, I've never even bothered with I think when I got it, the small size wasn't out, and I just never bothered getting the small size because I just thought, oh, I can't. I just won't be able to see it.
Yeah, it does have a very similar vibe to the book Station 11. Yeah, it really does. Yeah. Forward thinking and right for the time. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. So yeah. it is really, it is, I can see why you're saying, Heather, that it feels right for this moment. Like, yeah. And I find it interesting, like that's a deck about the future, and this is a deck about like history we're doomed to repeat.
Yeah.
Like medieval serfdom and oligarchy. and like this is where we both are.
Yeah.
In totally different ways. We're like
in totally different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like coming at the same situation of the world in totally different ways. So yeah.
Cool. So I think that's it then.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you all. Oh, sorry, Meg. I was very depressed. Sorry. I know it is depressing, but like again, like that's, I don't know. Like this is, it still gives hope. You know, like again, it's still like people lived and worked and had families and you know
life
and
went
survived.
on. Life still
went
happened.
on. They found joy where they could. Like, you know, I don't know. It's depressing and also hopeful in the next world in the same way. In a lot of ways, is there are elements that are depressing, but it's also very, very hopeful. So
yes, we will adapt to our servitude.
Yeah. right. Yes. Medieval folk punk. Yes.
We'll be fine. We'll all be fine.
Well, on that joyful note, and yes, I am also a Bake Off watcher. When I actually rewatched the entire Great British Bake Off this year, the entirety, every single episode on Netflix, because it was soothing. So anyway, yeah.
Ironically, as possibly the only British person in this conversation right now, I have never seen a single episode of
either. But I'm
we also don't call it the Great British Bake Off. We just call it Bake Off.
Yeah. It is a really wonderful show.
I've never seen
it. It's very entertaining. So, and it is very soothing. So, anyway, well, thanks so much, everybody. We are going to be going live again 2 weeks from today. We will be doing finally our Spinning Silver discussion. So look out. That will also be on my channel, and it will be, like I said, 2 weeks from today. Same bad time, same bad channel, normal situation. But we will be discussing Naomi Novik's Spinning Silver, which is our third 3 Girls 1 Book choice, and that should be really, really fun. And yeah, and then we will come back again with 3 Girls 1 Deck. We don't have one scheduled yet, but we will let you know as soon as we know. And yeah, thanks so much to all of you for joining us. This was super fun. And yeah, thanks so much, you guys. Bye.
Bye.